Is this really something that I need to do? What would happen if I didn't do it? One of the fastest ways to speed up is through reduction. We want more, we want faster, we want bigger, right? Yeah, I get it. But oftentimes to get that, one of the first and fastest ways to do it is through reduction. Do less.
What if you could build a business in the modern world as big or as small as you want without having to compromise the things that were the most important to you in the very beginning? This is the Wealthy Consultant Talks podcast with Taylor Welch and Mike Walker, as they share with you today their learning lessons from stories in their experiences over the past 10 to 15 years and share with you right here, right now. Let's get into it.
Hey, what is going on, my friends? Mike Walker here, and we have a fresh new episode of the Wealthy Consultant podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I want to give you kind of a sneak peek into something that we're doing here inside of LaunchKit, one of our consultancy programs within the Wealthy Consultant ecosystem. The LaunchKit is primarily designed for people bringing brand new offers to the market, whether they are seasoned entrepreneurs and just bringing something totally fresh to their TAM, or they are brand new in the entrepreneurial journey and they just want some structure, some guidance. It is a incubator of sorts to help entrepreneurs fast track their path to profit and get there faster by extracting the lessons from Taylor, myself, and everybody else here on the team, and even from their peers within the community. It's a fantastic place. If you're not familiar with it, reach out to us. It's one of my favorite places to be throughout the week, just because there's such, it's an inspiring place. You know, when you see so many people striving to hit their own unique objectives and seeing the collaboration and what I call the mind hive effect, where you're able to extrapolate some really cool insights from other people's experiences, plug it into your own, and therefore, again, accelerate your path. You can kind of sidestep some of the trial and error processes that are so prominent in the entrepreneurial space. But all that to be said, I want to share with you something that we're doing here. It is currently the month of July, and I decided to launch a July sales call challenge. This is totally optional. They didn't have to, but it was something that I wanted to instill, because where focus goes and where attention goes, energy, momentum follow. And that is where I wanted to put the focus on is what is the biggest needle mover in your business? Now, for many people, again, this will vary based on your position and, you know, the evolution of your business and where you're at in that phase and your journey. But for most people, especially in this more startup space that we're talking about, this particular group, the number one needle mover in their business is how many times per day can they talk to somebody in their market that can either say yes or no to what they have to offer. That's it. That's what I call the North Star KPI, right? That is the number one metric. If you tell me that one number, I can have a pretty good sense of where you're headed that week, that month, and even potentially that year. Right? It is the number one KPI, the number one metric that will basically spell out everything else that's going to happen behind it. More conversations equals more opportunities for people to say yes or no to your offer. The more times they say yes, the more money you generate. The more money you generate, the more leverage you have to plug in new people, new processes, new systems, new technology, new strategies, right? So money equals opportunity. Money equals leverage. So it's not just about, well, I just want to make more money. Yeah, but why do you want to make more money? Because I then want to take that money and then create even more leverage, right? It's an upward flywheel effect. It's not just to produce some money to put in our pocket or go spend on a new car or house, right? I mean, those are things that can happen as a result. But the ultimate objective here is to generate revenue that will then generate more opportunity, higher amounts of leverage for our business, right? Excellent. So what we initiated in July was this sales call challenge. Very simple concept. We're tracking the number of sales calls that they've held. So connected calls. How many times did they attend our sales clinics that we hold each week? And then lastly, how many sales were generated? So just three categories, very simple. Number of calls. So it's measuring volume. Number of times they're showing up on the sales clinic calls. That's attendance. That's accountability. That's just momentum generating, right? And then thirdly, of course, sales. Like how much are these activities actually producing in your business? What are the end results of these activities? Pretty simple concept. Now, where this kind of stemmed from, this very simple tracker that we're using for everybody, is as soon as you start using it, you realize, God dang, like it is so easy to be busy all day long. And at the end of the day, still have to post a 0, right? And it's frustrating. You're like, yeah, but you don't understand. I had this going on, and then this person called, and then this thing stopped working. I had to race out and go fix this, right? I mean, there's always something. There's always something, my friends. Okay, I'm pausing here because I want you to understand there is no end game here. There will always, always, always be something pulling, vying for your attention. It will always be important. It will always be urgent. Often it's from people that are jumping into your world and saying, hey, this is urgent. Hey, I need this, this piece of information or whatever it is, right? Hey, that's just life. It is what it is. Okay. So don't ever think that, oh man, I'm going to somehow systematize my way out of this. Nope. It's just called life. It's just called being a business owner. There's always gonna be something pulling for your attention. But where the professionals get really, really good at is they learn to put the blinders on and go, hey, for the next 90 minutes, for the next 60 minutes, for the next 30 minutes, all I'm going to do is this one task, nothing else. I'm just going to focus on this one thing at the exclusion of all others. So do we all have to wear different hats and spin different plates to keep the ball rolling in every aspect of our business and life? Of course. But my purpose of bringing this concept to you is the imperative nature of understanding what that North Star metric looks like in your business. What is that number? Is it just like the sales call challenge that we're doing this month for our clients? Is it number of times I'm talking to people? It probably is. Because again, more conversations equals more revenue. But if it's not that, then figure out what that number one needle moving activity is, what I call MMAs, money making activities. Figure out what that number one thing is that you can ascribe to a single digit box, meaning that there's no room in that little box for a long dialogue. Well, I did this and then this happened and then she said that and then we decided to do this. No. There's no room for that. It's literally just a blank box that you can put a number in. That's it. That's the one thing I want you to have in your business. Now, where did this come from? It actually came from my experience working with the gentleman in my past. This is years and years ago. He was kind of a hard guy, I'm not going to lie. He was an effective leader, but not always the nicest guy. He really wasn't interested in being your friend or, making you feel good. It was just like sales. Let's just go, right? It was just go, kind of grind, hustle culture, things that, we can talk about at a different day. That's a different podcast. But the intent here was that all he cared about was the results. He would often say, to our entire team, don't tell me what you did, tell me what you got done. Don't tell me what you did, just tell me what you got done. And so what we did is we implemented this same tracking concept where it's literally just an empty box. And I had to click send every single day at the end of the day and enter in a number. There was no room in the space to add like context. Well, I drove all the way to Los Angeles and then the guy didn't show. So I made these calls instead. And then I had this thing and no. Didn't matter. I could run 1,000,000 miles an hour. I could have made 1,000 calls. I could have knocked on 200 doors and walked barefoot across hot desert sand. It wouldn't have mattered. All that mattered was, but how many units did we sell? That's it. Right? Now, this was very disheartening sometimes. I'm not going to lie, because at the end of the hard day, again, driving tons of miles or having tons of conversations, whatever. And sometimes I had to enter a straight 0 into that box and click send, knowing that for all he knew, I was sitting on the beach somewhere drinking margaritas and I just decided I'm just not going to work today. So here's my 0. Or no, I worked like the hardest day I've ever worked in my life and I still had to click a 0. It didn't matter to him. It really didn't matter. It was just literally, but how many units do we sell? Right. And so as frustrating as this was, what it did is it attuned my thinking. It attuned my habits and processes towards optimization of, will this help me get this number up, whether it be today, this week, this month, whatever. Is this directly correlated to moving the needle in that particular area? Okay. And what happens when you remove the context and you look at just the end result, you can't cover it up. You can't blanket over it with a bunch of context and nuances and whatnot. It's literally just, what did we get done for the day? And so I encourage you, if you don't already, have some form of this in your business life in particular, because it forces accountability. It forces you to look very truthfully into the mirror and go, yes, I was busy all day long, but I still didn't get my end result. Why? And then how can I make this better? What could I do differently that I could actually potentially, and very likely, honestly, do a lot less activity, but actually post a 1, a 2, a 3, a 5, a 10, whatever in that box at the end of the day, right? That's what happens when you use these very simple tools of measurement is it forces you to consider, I wonder what would happen if I just didn't do this one activity. Is this really something that I need to do? What would happen if I didn't do it? It's one of the best things ever, guys. Like one of the fastest ways to speed up is through reduction. We want more, we want faster, we want bigger, right? Yeah, I get it. But oftentimes to get that, one of the first and best, fastest ways to do it is through reduction. Do less of the frivolous stuff and more of the few activities, those few MMAs that actually move the needle. We're doing it here inside our community here for Launch Kit. Everybody is having a good time. They're entering their numbers. And like I said, sometimes, hey, you got to post a 0, but that's okay. You know why? Because you're measuring it. You know what's worse than 0? Not knowing what the number is, not having attribution, not having any way of telling at the end of the week, man, I had a hard week. I worked so hard. Cool. What do you get done? No. You got to know. You got to be able to be willing to post that 0, my friends, every single day. At the end of the day, you got to be willing to send that 0 if that's what happened. Just be honest with yourself. It's all right, but tune for that. Don't ignore it. Don't cover it up with activity. Let's hyper focus on productivity. Let's post more than a 0 tomorrow. All right, guys, we'll see you on another episode of the Wealthy Consultant Podcast. Take care, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Giving is living. Take care, my friends. See ya.